Alright, so because I love Smash Brothers a little bit more than I care to admit, seeing the direct about it gave me some ideas for a couple other lists I could do. So we're going to start off with the easiest one first, so this way I can get this out to you. And yeah, so I thought about all the cool items in Smash Brothers. There's a lot of cool items. Not a lot of them are going to make it in this list. I tried to narrow it down to like 15, because 10 just seemed too small, and yeah. The obvious, or at least it should be obvious, rule to this list is does not count Smash Balls, does not count assist trophies, does not count Pokeballs. Those are all three incredible items that we all agree are top 3. But for this case, we're not going to count them. We're going to count on things that are a little bit more disposable. Now, this is going to be a hierarchy of my love for each item and their usefulness over the generations of the game. So that's why the Motion Sensor Bomb is going to be at the bottom, because I love it a lot, but it sucks outside of like Melee and Smash 64, because after a while it just despawns and poofs away. But the reason I love it, again, ties so much to Hyrule Temple, because it's great to throw it on the ceiling, throw someone into it, and watch the physics go to town. I love the Motion Sensor Bomb. I would just love it if they left it where it was and didn't get rid of it to the point where it becomes basically useless. If you ever throw it, it'll probably be gone before someone ever hits it, and you'll forget you ever threw it to begin with. Now, this one's a little bit of, it's going to be 2 in 1, I guess. I like the red shell, and I kind of miss it because of how different it was, so there's like that little bit of, I guess, nostalgia factor to it. But in other words, I think the green shell is a lot of fun too. It's just great to like smack it with a sword or a bat and then watch someone get twatted with it and fly off into the distance. It's a simple item, it fits, it works very well, but I do miss the red shell, and I would like it if they brought it back because it adds a little bit more flavor and a little bit more strategy to avoid. This one again, I remember liking when Smash 4 came out, and I was like, oh, this is a good fit, this is a good idea. But admittedly, it's not as much as I like as other things. I do like it, I just don't feel like it shows up often enough, but when it does show up and you pick it up, when you get to blast right through someone, it's a very satisfying feeling. So, yeah, I like the bullet build. Now this one I think is fun because I think it was Project M had a problem with spicy curry to the point where they disabled it, and this list is very clearly not for the people who hate items, but I like spicy curry, and I mostly say that just because I feel like Brawl wasn't all that strong with its items, so the addition of spicy curry felt good, natural. It was also really a nice combination when you have things like the hothead, so you could just stand in front of it, and it could also be very strategic if someone has a spicy curry and you could throw up your reflector shield or your PSI magnet, whatever the thing Ness has that heals it, and you could use that to play into your strategy too. I like the curry, I think it's nice, it's temporary. I mean, I could understand how some people would find it annoying, but I like it, and I generally am not annoyed by it. All you have to do is exist, and you're hurting the people. Speaking of the hothead, I like the hothead. I don't know, it's a simple item, and its usefulness varies depending on the stage, so like on certain stages it doesn't serve a shit of a difference, but it is very nice to be able to play it on certain stages where it can roam about and you're playing basically jump rope to make sure you don't get hurt while still trying to continue a fight. That's a fun, satisfying feeling. I like the hothead. I like that you can control its power by feeding fire into it with explosives or missiles or anything you can make, and like that's a good strategy too. Another instance in Smash 4 where I saw the item and I was instantly like, oh yes, this is a good idea, was the fire bar. I don't know what it is, and I don't know why no one thought of it before, but it's just a really simple item that just fits naturally, because the idea of literally holding a fire bar and twatting someone upside the head, it's just funny to me, and I like it. It can kind of wear off, which I guess that's its way of making it balanced, but it's typically an item that I run out and get because I like the fire bar, again, useful for things like the hothead. Got nice range to it. It's just a very satisfying thing to be able to wield and use against somebody. I like this one purely for its intimidation factor, because once you see someone holding it, you gotta be very, very careful, because you know with one nice swing they can knock you right out of there in a single shot. 0% doesn't matter. Home run bat is very powerful, very good, very intimidating. I like it for all that reason. I also like to throw the bat at people because they're not expecting it, and I just feel like it's very fun to throw a baseball bat at someone. There's just like a funny joke in that. But yes, purely for the idea of like the sense of dread that comes seeing your opponent wielding it and the confidence that comes in yourself wielding it, it's a great item and one that is guaranteed to be there regardless. Again, when trying to think of brawl items that were actually good, there weren't too many. But I do remember at one point when doing an online video with Reed and them that he mentioned the Cracker Launcher, and that was one of the items that I remember actually liking. I forgot it existed, but I liked it. It was good, it was different, it was satisfying to use. The idea of shooting a firecracker is kind of interesting. It's got a funny-ass name to begin with, but, like, it's just a good item. It had some range to it, some use to it, different ways to use it and strategize it. I liked it. It was always an item that I felt comfortable using and went out of my way for. This one also has a huge sense of confidence in it because the Orc Club has multiple uses, and that's what I like about it. So for starters, you're basically, like, not invincible, but you're unmovable. There's a certain word for it, but I can't remember what it was. So, like, if someone throws a bomb at you and you're charging up the Orc Club, you'll take the damage, but your ass isn't moving. And then just getting swiped by that thing, that's enough damage to really knock the shit out of you. And then there's the idea that it, like, shoots tornadoes. Again, infinitely useful. Like, that thing is a powerhouse and easily probably one of the most devastating items they put in Smash 4. It gives Kid Icarus some extra love with a really good weapon as well. Now this one's more of a joke item, and I remember not really liking it as a kid, but over the time it's gotten funny and I just like it. And you really kind of notice how much you miss it when they replace it with a flipper inside of Melee. But the bumper's funny because, like, it does 1% damage, but it knocks your ass right the hell out of there, and you're going to be careful. And if you position it in just the right way, that's the difference between making sure someone makes it back to the stage or they die. And of course, there was also that fun time where we decided to set the damage ratio as high as it could go, bumpers only, and then watch everyone literally get paintballed around. That was a fun, good time. The bumper is just a nice, fun joke item, and I'm glad it stayed. This, I think, is the definitive brawl item that really, really would be my favorite. I'm looking at the list, and I'm pretty sure that's the newest brawl item at the top. And I don't know what it is, but something about the screech of that thing as it goes off is just so satisfying to hear. And I love how it casually gets bigger and bigger, and it traps anyone in it, and it just feels like a little bit more of a threatening bomb than probably any of the others, because most of the others just kind of stay put. The X-Bombs are really the only ones that don't, but the Smart Bomb has a huge diameter to it that can eclipse a lot of things, and it's just really good. It does a lot of damage, it hurts, it can send you flying, it's satisfying to use, hear, see, everything about it I really like. I remember when Smash 3DS first came out, and of course at that time I didn't have a copy, didn't plan on getting a 3DS, but my parents were nice enough to get me one for Christmas, and I was looking up all the items, all the Final Smashes, all stuff like that we would want to know when a new Smash game comes out, but you're not able to play. And Galaga was the main one I remember seeing, and I laughed my ass off because I was like, oh my god, letting Bandai Namco in charge was perfect because we get to have stupid joke items like this. Now this is probably a little bit more for me than it would be some of the younger kids, but I loved Galaga as a kid. I love the idea of the little ship coming down, picking you up, and then just dragging you off into space. Oh, it's so funny to me. Like, I loved that as a kid, and I love seeing that in my Smash Brothers. It's a great item. I love it. I'm not particularly sure why this one's my favorite, but it's been my favorite about as long as I remember, and I remember it being something of a joke, where it was like, you killed Freezy! And you couldn't do that. Freezy was important. You had to keep Freezy alive, and you had to make sure Freezy was useful. I do like the satisfaction of throwing it at someone and watching them just fly into space and they're unable to move. It's kind of funny because it abruptly stops them in their tracks, so that's really satisfying. It can kind of get in the way and be a nuisance sometimes if you're a projectile user and you're, trying to shoot someone, but Freezy gets in the way. So it's fun, it's useful, that's pretty much it. It's just kind of have like that, I guess, personal attachment to it that I've always loved. I mean, it wouldn't really be a good list if we didn't include it. It's kind of an obvious one. Some of the items that I really like, I think were good in certain variations, but not others. I mean, the hammer is important and is well liked just all around. It's kind of a trademark item. But I do remember always thinking it was really funny in Smash 64 because you would change colors. So sometimes you'd be red, sometimes you'd be green, and if you ended the match like that, and you got that little freeze frame and you were red, it was funny. Hammer's incredibly intimidating, it's super useful, it's one of the better items. It's also fun that the hammer head can sometimes fly off and you can pick that up and hurl that at the person wielding the hammer. That's really fun. I mean, I'm not really entirely sure how to go on about saying this is probably the best item in the game, and a lot of people feel that way and a lot of people love it and like it. So there you go. It's always like the second it's there, it's the one thing everyone goes for and everybody looks out for if someone gets it. Alright, I'm probably alone on this one, but this one's my absolute favorite just because of all the fun chaos you can create with it. It's a shame that it's exclusive to Melee, but again, this is my favorite item, and it's an item that I wish they'd bring back. I just love the idea of a barrel cannon coming out of the sky, swooping someone up, and then you gotta think fast if you want to live. I mean, it could argue, luck or whatever, but I guess there's the difference if you're playing for fun versus if you're playing to not have fun and be competitive. But I just like the idea of throwing a barrel cannon at someone and then watching them flail about. It's just so funny to watch it swoop out from nowhere. Also really, really fun in the Hyrule Temple stage when you're hanging down in the underground and then it just comes out the fucking sky chute and then boom, there you go. Works well with the slopes. Now, just because something didn't make the list doesn't mean I don't like it. Like, again, there were a lot of things I did like but didn't get to include, such as the Warp Star, the Parasol. I really like the rolling crates, things like that. So there's a bunch of other things that I did like but didn't include. But those were typically the ones that it's like I've always liked, I always thought were super fun. I just thought it'd be a fun idea to make the list, and I really like Smash Brothers. So there you go. I got 2 other lists planned, but they're going to be a little bit harder to record, so hopefully they come out really soon, right after this, if I have my way. In other words, I'll see you guys with those 2 videos. Have fun.